So a question I get a lot on my channel is about EV range anxiety and public charging networks. And one thing I will say is I understand that some public chargers are super expensive when it comes to, you know, like stuff like Gridserve and those sort of things at motorway service stations. It can actually be cheaper to use a petrol or a diesel car by some way in those situations. But what I wanted to do was do a little bit of an experiment to see how much cheaper it actually is to use a Tesla with the Tesla Supercharger Network. Now, obviously, as a Tesla owner, I might come across a little bit biased. I really do like my Tesla, and it's something that I think, you know, it's a great investment if you're looking to do quite a few miles, especially because the Supercharger network is so vast across most countries now in Europe and in the US, etc. But what I want to do is actually see how it is in some more rural areas and see what the cost difference actually is. So I'm going on holiday with my girlfriend down to Cornwall, London, all the way down to kind of the Wiltshire area and then down into the depths of Cornwall. And I want to see in the southwest of the UK what the Supercharger network is like. Can you get by using a car like this? And what sort of cost does it involve across such a long trip with so many miles? And of course, we're going to be doing lots of exploring, lots of trips while we're down there as well. And of course, if you have a car that's not a Tesla, you can use the Supercharger network, but you only get a reduced rate if you have a Tesla membership, and it is still a bit inconvenient because a lot of the Tesla chargers have very short cables designed just for Tesla. So if you pull up in a car that's not a Tesla, you might end up that the charging port's in the wrong location. You have to park weird and block other people when it becomes a bit of a nightmare. So, and I'd also like to say thank you to Tesla UK for providing the car for this trip. It is a rear-wheel drive, long-range Tesla Model 3 Highland, and I'm going to be doing a few thousand miles over the course of the next week or so in this car. So let's hit the road then. And if you're looking for a used Tesla, please hit the links in the description to talk to us at Players Cars Premium. We can find one for you at a reasonable low monthly cost. And don't worry about emailing. We can do it all through WhatsApp. It makes it super easy. That's how I bought mine. So yeah, links in the description below if you're interested. But let's crack on with the trip. I'm going to do a full charge at South Mims first and then head out from there. So it's a good opportunity for a cheeky coffee. So before setting off, I did charge the car at home on a standard 7 kilowatt wall charger, which gave me 30% charge over a couple of hours, so around 3.5 hours charging. And of course, charging at home is the most efficient way to do it. Overnight, if you've got an overnight tariff, I'm with Octopus, which makes things nice and easy, and the total cost for that charge is £1.32, so it translates to around sort of £3.50, £4, something like that for a full charge in most cases, so super cheap. But then we headed off, and of course I wanted to get as much juice in the car as possible, so the first thing we did was head for South Mims services on the M25 North. Gained 71% charge there, so 53 kilowatt hours of the battery, took around 45 minutes and cost £21.52, which is quite reasonable for a motorway service station thanks to the Supercharger network. So gave us a chance to have a coffee, some breakfast and get ready for the day of travelling ahead. You really have to. I'm going to stand over where those ladies are when they move, and so the car's in the background, and so that this backdrop is behind me because it looks good. So you join us here at Cheddar Gorge, a beautiful location as you can see behind me here. The car is already a real state because the weather isn't doing too good here at the moment, unfortunately, on this part of the trip, but we're kind of halfway, maybe a little bit more than halfway. Car's probably got about 150 miles of range left, so plenty of travel. The thing is, obviously on the motorways, these do end up decreasing quite a bit. So normally you get about 460 WLTP, which is very mixed driving, but I've noticed more like 350 if you're doing pretty much all motorway, which does mean a few more frequent stops, but it's not been too much of a problem so far. So let's jump in the car now and I want to show you exactly what it's suggesting for the rest of our journey, because it will show us exactly where we need to stop. Cool, so I'll show you now on screen exactly what's going on. So it shows here, this is the last leg of our trip. So you can see we are currently here just about to join the M5, and it gives us an idea of where's best to stop. So if we actually look at the superchargers available on the route, if I come out of here, and then we click on this will show us all the superchargers around. So you can see as we get down into the southwest of the country here, there's fewer red dots. If I zoom right out, We have to zoom in enough to see, but you can see loads around the major cities, and then of course all over Europe as well. So a massive network. Look over into Switzerland, there's Venice, Croatia. Like, you can pretty much go anywhere in Europe with the Supercharger network, which is really cool. But as you can see down here in the southwest, a little bit less fruitful, which is fine because actually the distance between them isn't too bad. So we're going to take a trip down the M5 here, and we're going to stop around Exeter, where there are a few different supercharger locations. And when we click on them, it does actually show us a bit more information about how many are available currently, which is really cool. It shows us what price it is currently, and also the off-peak pricing, and also gives a bit of an idea of what it looks like and the local amenities. So I can see there we will be able to stop for a coffee and a donut, which is all good stuff. So as we can see here, if we do a stop here and we only charge for 6 minutes, this will allow us to arrive at our destination with 10%. But what you can do is click on set arrival energy, and I can say that actually when we get to our location, I still want 70% of battery, and it will then replan the route accordingly to make it a little bit easier for us. So we could get away with one stop if we want to as well, but we want to stop a little bit sooner to grab a coffee in Exeter anyway. So it's about an hour from here, hour 14 it's saying at the moment. So yeah, after a bit of exploration here at the Cheddar Gorge, we're going to hit the road, get to Exeter, stop off, stick the car on charge, and have a little look, see what we can get. So head down to Exeter we did, and it gave us an opportunity to stop for a rest again. Now, some people don't like stopping for too long during a long journey, but with over 300 miles of range on the motorway, it shouldn't be too much of a burden for you. And it gave us an opportunity to have another coffee, which was really nice. A 52-minute break, which gave us 81% charge in Exeter for a total cost of £23.97, and that was during peak time as well. So that is a really reasonable cost in my opinion. So from there, we still had about 100 miles to go to get down to our destination in Truro, Cornwall, and then we spent the next couple of days adventuring in the southwest, heading up to Newquay as well as various other places as well, just exploring the area and enjoying our holiday. And we managed to do that all on this same charge from Exeter, which was really nice. And the next stop was one that highlights an unexpected advantage of having to stop to charge. I've come to find something faster than my Tesla, and I think I've found it. 0 to 60 anyway. So after a day of adventuring, we decided to head back to the Airbnb for a good night's rest, and on our way there discovered that actually the car was getting a little bit low on juice after a few hundred miles of our travels over the last couple of days. So we needed to stop somewhere the following morning, but that made for a good plan because we were going to head to the Eden project for the day. So what we wanted to do is stop off for a bite to eat and a coffee in the morning, which fits in with our charge, and we let the car decide our fate, and it took us to our next location, which was Lifton. And this was somewhere we would not have discovered had it not been for the car telling us to stop at this supercharger, and it turned out to be a really good one. I didn't get much in the way of video unfortunately, but we stopped to eat at a place called Strawberry Fields, which was a really nice garden centre, and they had this really cool old Land Rover in the middle, which was all decorated for sort of Halloween season, which was really cool. So we sat, we ate some good food, we had a coffee, and we were ready to carry on with our adventures. By the time we got back to the car, it had got 80% charge in the 55 minutes we were there, and cost £24.01, again during peak times as well. What's up guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Ah dear, it's far too early in the morning, isn't it? Right, you join us in the morning of going home. So we're heading from Cornwall. We're around sort of the Truro area of Cornwall at the moment, and we're heading to effectively somewhere east of London on the Essex side. So we're going to Lakeside Shopping Centre, which is where there is going to be a Tesla Supercharger ready for us to charge up. So we tend to use like some of the superchargers around the area, and obviously you've got quite a few on the service stops around the M25. Actually, to be honest, down here, I would say not really been a problem using the Supercharger network. There's actually a supercharger right by where we are, about sort of 10-15 minutes up the road, and it's next to a 24-hour McDonald's, so that's always a blessing. Managed to get some food in there last night whilst doing a full charge ready for the trip this morning. So it's not been as much of a problem as you think. Like, a full charge is going to take you 45 minutes to an hour tops, so as long as you're kind of within half an hour of one, it's been just a case of fitting a coffee around it or a bit of breakfast or whatever. So really it hasn't impacted our trip that much. And I'll go through a rundown of the costs in a little bit. But for now, let's take a look at the trip we're going to do back. And I think this is going to be a close one. So let's put in the navigation here at the shopping centre. So this shows just the scale of the adventure we're going on today. So it reckons about 5.5 hours total driving time. It's suggesting 287 miles total journey. We currently have a range of 333, and that is at 94%. So that was from 100% from the charger driving here last night. So a little bit less than anticipated. And obviously this is a bit lower than the WLTP just because we're doing purely motorway driving and no kind of regen around town. But yeah, it's predicting 8% when we get there. But that's quite impressive in my opinion, to be able to do that journey non-stop with 8% remaining, and then it will only take us about another 45 minutes to get up to full charge. I don't think we can complain at that, but it'll be interesting to see how close we get to this based on our driving. So yeah, join us in a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of driving, a little bit of lunching, and I'll catch up with you soon. So as we hit the road for the long journey home, I started to reflect on my time in the Tesla and what a nice week it had been. As a user experience, I do think Tesla is really good and I get to drive a lot of stuff. I'm so grateful for what I do, and I get to drive probably 40, 50 EVs a year now, and it's incredible. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of other alternative cars out there that are really good. But if you're the sort of person like myself who does a lot of miles, then obviously EV charge anxiety is going to be a thing, range anxiety. And the Tesla does a great job of mitigating that. Not only does it have a good range, but the Supercharger network, as you've seen in this video, is just second to none. Not only is it easier to use because you just have to plug the car in and then the Tesla app does the rest, but the cost difference is just astronomical, and you'll see that when we get back to Lakeside when I do a full comparison. In an EV, of course, as well, in start-stop traffic, it's a nice experience, and with the autopilot features, it makes things really easy to just cruise along on the motorway as well. Of course, we don't have full self-drive here in the UK, but it's the closest thing you get, and I was really grateful for it on this trip. Right, and here we are at Tesla charge point in Lakeside, and as you can see, we made it with 26 miles to spare. Not bad. So that works out at 7%. So really, to go all that way on that amount of charge is not too bad, and we can literally just top up here. By the time we've gone and grabbed a bit of food or coffee or whatever, we'll come back and the car will be ready to go for the next day. So yeah, not too bad at all. I'm going to do a full breakdown of the cost when I'm a bit less tired, so catch me in the next clip and I'll break down exactly how much the full sort of charge trip costs over pretty much about 1,500 miles probably over the last couple of days, over the last week or so. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised because we did a lot of charging during peak times as well, which obviously is a lot more expensive, but still a lot less expensive than some of the other chargers out there, so not too bad at all. Done. Cut. I just wanted to show you a quick comparison because I'm in this Cupra Tavascan this week, and we're skipping forward in time a little bit, but I wanted to show you what it's like to charge at a normal service station with a normal car that's not a Tesla. So we're at, I don't know what this is, EV Point here. We're at, where are we? M1 junction 16, I think it is. So I've just plugged this in, but basically you can see on here what we have to do. So this is a EV Point, which actually that app isn't too bad, to be fair, but you have to log in, create an account and do it on your phone or pre-authorised with an RFID reader. So I've got the, let me just get logged into my phone here. I've got the app open, the EV Point app, as you can see when it loads, because we have to rely on the signal. The app's crashed, that's good. Oh dear. Makes my point though, right? There we go, right, so let's start again. Cool, so I've gone on there and I've started charging. I don't know now whether it will show me what's actually going on. No, so it's not showing me the current charging session either. So this is the one that I'm charging on, I think. No, D1. Yeah, D1 is the one that I'm charging on. Charger is occupied, but I know that because I'm using it. Anyway, it pre-authorised £55 out of my account, and it's 75 pence per kilowatt hour versus, I think I was paying like less than 50 pence per kilowatt hour at peak times in sort of the southwest on the Tesla Supercharger. So this not only is more expensive, but as you can see, a little bit more of a faff as well. So we're going to head into Starbucks now and get some coffee and let this thing do its thing. But I just wanted to kind of put this in just to show what the other side of the experience looks like. So yeah, I know I probably sound a little bit biased because I have a Tesla, but as you can see, something like this, and I love this car, by the way, this is great, and I've got a full review of this coming, but yeah, not the best experience. So when we look at the total cost breakdown once again, you can see £113.61 to cover over 1,500 miles, which is pretty incredible. And it shows that MPGE, that's the equivalent estimate. If you would have a petrol or diesel car, you would need to achieve 157 MPG for the same cost of travel. Again, this is all, your mileage may vary based on your driving, based on your car and so on. And I know the comparison to the Cupra Tavascan is a little bit unfair because the Tavascan isn't quite as efficient. You can see here for a 60 kilowatt hour charge, it actually only added 239 miles versus the 300 on the Tesla. But just to give you a rough idea against a sort of slightly similarly priced car, you can see that £55.07 it cost me at Gridserve later that day from that last clip. That was 85 pence per kilowatt hour at Watford Gap Services at that time of night. And you can see that it costs around a third on the Tesla Supercharger Network with the Tesla Model 3. So that is a massive cost saving. And not only that, but the convenience of using that supercharger versus messing around with all of these other chargers. And of course, I could have charged my Tesla at Gridserve or EV Point or one of these other charging networks. And this isn't to be Tesla biased. I love driving all sorts of different EVs. I get to drive such a lot of stuff, and I wouldn't say that everyone should go out and buy a Tesla, but this just goes to show some of the benefits of the Supercharger Network. And I wanted to educate people out there that actually EV range anxiety doesn't have to be that bad. It just depends on how you manage it. And as you can see, even in the southwest of the UK, where charging points are a bit sporadic, I still managed to have an enjoyable holiday and fit it around everything that we did. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all the likes, comments, subscriptions, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.